Okay, we're going to start today just by looking at the graph of y equals cosine x. And just like with sine x, it's very important you memorize this graph. And so we can use the unit circle to come up with some points. But the first thing we'll do is get some tick marks on our graph, and we're going to break this up the same way we did sine. Since one time around the unit circle is 2 pi, we'll go ahead and start with 2 pi on the last tick mark. And then we'll break this into 4 equal parts, so we cut it in half, cut that in half, and then find 3/4. And these are the same tick marks we used with sine x, so we'll go through that kind of quickly. And then the max and min for cosine will be the same, and so we'll have a 1 and -1 here. And then if we were to look at the unit circle, we said, well, what's cosine of 0? Well, cosine is 0. We'll leave it radians, not degrees. Cosine of 0 is 1. And so this cosine curve will start at 0, 1. And then we could keep going. We could say, well, what's cosine of pi over 2? That's straight up, and cosine of pi over 2 is 0. And then cosine, we'll do one more. Cosine of pi is -1. It's over on the left of your circle. And so it's down here, and now we start to get the shape of our curve. Cosine of 3 pi over 2 is back to 0, and then 2 pi is 1 again. And so we've completed one cycle of our curve. A couple things to notice about the curve itself is that it looks a lot like sine, just kind of shift it over, and that's true. Also, it does go forever, and so our domain is all real numbers, and our range goes from -1 to 1. So that's the cosine curve. Once again, memorize this. A lot of people have trouble with this middle portion here, kind of like right down here. Whoops. Let's see if we can't fix that. With this middle portion right here is where people have trouble graphing, because you have to go below the x-axis or the midline. But it is important to memorize this. The other thing to note is that cosine starts at 0, 1. It starts at the amplitude instead of at the origin. And then let's go ahead and write the period. The period is 2 pi, which is just like sine, and the amplitude is 1. Which once again is just like sine. So see the similarities. You need to have this graph memorized, just like you did sine.